Okay, so let's take a look at how you can set up InfluxDB database on your Google Cloud platform. So first thing we would be doing is we will set up our trial Google Cloud platform account. Next thing we will be setting up our project, and we'll be also setting up the billing. Once we have these two things set up, we will go to our top navigation menu, and then we will be going for compute engine. Then we will click on VM instance. That should open in new tab. Right, once we have these things set up in the new tab, you will see your compute engine that looks like this. Right, now here I can create a new instance, and it will allow me multiple option to create that VM instance. Right, for example, I can start from scratch in new VM instance. In second, from template, I can use existing template that has InfluxDB installed. Next is choosing your machine image if you have already set up InfluxDB. Then comes marketplace, where you can also set things up. Right, so I will choose marketplace because it will likely to have its own image or deployment solution. Right, so let's click on marketplace. This now let's click on price, make it check free, and after that we will be searching for InfluxDB in the search bar. Right, it will show you the result which we can explore and try to find out one-click deploy like this. You can also use DevNami stack. Right, so let's pick InfluxDB from one-click deploy. Here we will be taking a look at the pricing because we need to know how much we will be spending in this case. Right, so here as you can see, we need 2 CPU, 8 GB memory. Let's see if we can reduce that. So we will try to launch this, so the configuration in our VM instance will be updated. Double click, and then let's check whether it will check for APIs to set before it goes to form. Right, once it goes for deployment, you will notice that it has auto input for deployment name, then zone as you can see US Central, then machine type general purpose, compute optimize, memory optimize. Right, we will keep the 2 CPU 8 GB memory default. You can pick the bucket, organization Google. There is token option, I will leave that. Then there are ports 8086, and then there is also graphite port number 2003. So we'll keep everything on default. I will allow traffic on both 2003 and 8086 port. Right, all of these options we will select. Before that, let me tell you about the fee. Here you can see 2 CPU 8 GB memory. If you want to reduce that down, you can do so with 1 shared core and 4 GB memory. That is also possible, but a lot of times what happens is that deployment fails. So it's better to let it deploy on the default, because if you let it on minimum configuration and by some reason it doesn't deploy properly, it will try and exit, and your deployment will give an error that configuration is not sufficient or is not optimal for this particular database. Right, also you have to think of the operating system that you have underneath, so it has to give some resources to that as well. Currently we are having Debian 11.6, InfluxDB 2.6.1, so that is another option. Right, so once you have these things properly thought out and set, you can go with the default configuration offered to you. There are cases where you can go with reducing your configuration, because those database which are less likely to eat your resources will be accepting on lower configuration. Right, so we will be taking a look at that part as well. Right, so we have most of the things set on default, like deployment name, zone, then machine type, series and machine type, then bucket, organization, then your port numbers, boot disk, network, and so on. Now let's go and click deploy. Right, so here you see you have deployment manager showing you the progress of InfluxDB setup. Right, if you want to check your VM instance, you can also check this particular link that will go for your VM instance. Right, so let everything set up properly, then we will worry about that part. Right, you will be also given instruction on how to connect to InfluxDB. Right now you will be assigned with a temporary password and username as admin. Right, so we are taking care of that part. So once this deployment completes, it will be seen as it is deployed with warnings. Right, so we will try and connect to this particular InfluxDB through SSH. So SSH, open in new browser. Right, here we will copy this particular command up to username part. Right, then here you have admin, then dash password, and then that within the quote you will be having the password. You can also change the password later, but let's try and copy up to this point, or even for this point we just have to enter the password. Right, and this is your password here. Now let's wait for our deployment to show us the SSH in browser. Now that you see the Linux version here, this is where we will be typing the influx command. So let's take a look at that. So influx dash version. So often it may cause errors unless we try and log in first. So we need to check the influx shell as well. Here you are given variety of commands that you can use for, let's see, version write bucket and so on. You can also take a look at user management options. Right, can do the authorization, so you can use influx auth. Right, here you will be given the commands related to authorization, create, delete list, active, inactive. Right, so here we can take a look at that. So influx auth, and let's say active, what do we have, auth active, and then dash active organization, and so on. Like this we can take a look at the authorization part. Similarly, we can also use the login option that you can see we have like admin and username to connect to as well. Once we do that part, we are set with our InfluxDB. Right, so if you have any external clients that you want to use with InfluxDB, you can do so. Otherwise, there is always SSH in browser for you to check your database and go through for connection. So hopefully you get the idea how to create the InfluxDB instance on Google Cloud platform. Now here you can see you have SSH instance where you are connected to InfluxDB's virtual machine instance, and I will try and exit this to close the connection. Now let's say my use for InfluxDB is over and I want to get rid of all the resources. In that case, what should I do? So in that case, go to deployment manager, and there you will find deployment here listed. It's just like you have your virtual machine instance listed, there is deployment that you can check. Right, here when you go to VM instance, you will be shown this particular InfluxDB instance as well. Now we don't necessarily need this instance, so we will first try and delete this. Right, you can directly use deployment deletion, which will do the same task, but we will first get rid of this so that any other resource remnants that remain we can get rid of through deployment manager. So I am getting rid of VM instance, click delete, and once we do that, it will help us to disconnect from the database. Now hopefully there should not cause any form of problems, right? So first our instance will be deleted, and then we can come here for the deletion. Once deleted, it will also show you the notification message that instance is deleted. Everything will be empty like this. You can close the window now, and then come to deployment manager, click delete. All the resources and remnants will be deleted. Click delete all. Right now this will take a bit of time because resource group, disk, everything will be released, so you may have to be a bit patient on that part, right? So once deleted, you will be seeing empty space here as well. Then we can confirm that we managed to delete our InfluxDB instance.